Yeah. How are you? How have you been?
Yeah, so I'm quite good. Thankfully, we're all safe,
Yes,
healthy.
yes.
So yeah, that's
You're in India itself?
yes, we are in Bangalore.
Okay, it's a lovely
What
place.
about what about you?
I'm in Kolkata.
Oh, great, wonderful.
So, how long have you been writing?
So let me say that I have loved books since the time I was a child. So thanks to my sister who introduced me to Enid Blyton at a very early age, and it took me to this world of adventure and fun, and different and new friends, and I really loved that feeling. And I think my love of books was what took me to writing. So as a child, I used to write for my school magazine every year. I was on the editorial board of our
Oh,
school
that's
magazine.
nice.
Yeah. So later, I used to write for the company newsletters and all that stuff. And I have always been writing for myself. So writing has been something which I do when I have to clarify my thoughts, something that I do when I have to let go of things. So it's like a cathartic process for me, and that I have always been doing. I've been writing opinion pieces for some online journals, and I have a blog. Which is theintelligentparent.com. It's for
Yeah.
young parents. So I have been writing on and off forever. Yeah.
So, like, what was the inspiration behind the Tales Next, or how did this come about?
So, you know how there are some people that you meet and some experience that you might have. So, the experience or the meeting might be for a very short period of time, but the impact that it has on
Yeah.
you is very deep. So the type of person that I am, for me, such events and people are many. I think about a small instance that I might have read, or some story that some relative has told me, the gossip that my neighbor has told me, or a newspaper article that I read, and many of those actually keep prodding my brain, and I keep thinking, why did the person do what they did? What made them do that wonderful or that cruel act? Um, you know, and there had been like these immense number of such experiences, such people, and with the stories all made up in my head, because I have given them so much thought, all just aching to burst forth, and they still are. And that was how these short stories of specific instances, specific people came forth. Yeah, so that was pretty
That's very interesting.
much.
So, so in the description, I'm gonna quote this. You
Yeah.
say you mentioned slices of Indian life. So,
Yes.
what aspect of Indian life did you intend to portray, set out to portray in this?
um okay, so you're an Indian, and you know that India is a veritable potpourri of people, culture, ideas, thoughts.
True.
My characters, the process that I just told you,
Hmm.
the way they come forth, are very Indian in their thinking and the way they react. So they are all very, very Indian people. A lot of them mostly North Indian, because that is where I've spent most of my life. The settings are again very Indian. So, in a short story, what we typically do is we take a slice of a person's life or a particular aspect of a person's character, and you write that out. So both the setting and the characters are extremely Indian, and they're based in villages, they're based in small Indian towns. They are the typical modern Indian men and women that you
Yeah,
see, and you see that it kind of encompasses what India is today, right? From the rural India to people who actually are ready to ostracize people just based on some superstitions,
true.
to a very strong modern Indian woman who thinks that she has to take her own decisions, she has to live her own life, to young children who are happily enjoying life, um, taxi drivers in
So
Delhi.
you try to encapsulate a little bit of all this.
All of this, yes,
Yeah,
yes. So that is where they are, the slices of Indian life, small
that's
slices
lovely.
from everywhere.
So your characters, JD, Adi, Kabir, all these are such interesting characters. So what
Yeah.
was your process like creating them?
So see, JD, for example, JD is a very duty first, very a person who is high on integrity, who is always saying that this is right and he has to do the right thing, come what may. That is a character that has always reminded me of my dad, frankly. And similarly, so there are aspects of people's character. There is Sita, who is a beggar sitting in a Delhi railway station. So that is a character that has come from a girl that I had seen in Haldwani, which is close to where my hometown is. Near the bus station, there was a beggar girl who used to sit, and she used to draw on the mud right in front of her.
Okay.
Um, so these are people that I have seen, and I have, of course, as I told you, that I think why they're doing it and where their life can take them, and all of that process just keeps going in my head. So that is where these characters have come from, and the character building process that I usually follow is I observe a lot, and
That's the
then I
sign of a
have
good writer.
thank you. And I just have to have the character alive in my mind, right from how they look, how they speak. Do they speak fast? Do they speak slowly? um, do they have black hair? Do they color their hair? And how their childhood has been like. What are the key characteristics that they have? What are their fears? What are their strengths?
Okay.
To the extent,
That's a
what are
whole
they?
process. That's
What
like a
are?
whole character sketch.
Yeah. So you have to have that entire the character alive in your mind,
Yeah.
and to the point that what are the ticks, for example, the first story which is made for each other, there is Kabir, and he kind of taps his fingers when he's anxious. So these small ticks, which make a character
Real.
real to me, and hopefully to the readers as well.
Yeah. They add
Yeah.
to the realisticness of the
Yes.
writing.
So I need to have the whole person right there in front of me before I can write about that person.
Okay. So these are such unique and characters and they go through such extremely different situations. So how did you like decide like this one is going to do this one is going to do that, this is going to happen? How did you like lay it out? How did walk me through that?
So, see, for example, okay, let me say JD. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have the character of JD in my mind. He's a police officer, and he is very ethical, very strong. He likes to finish his work and be satisfied with everything he does. Um, And then there is this other character who is kind of a shady character. Now, for me, when I lay out a story, the character always comes first.
Okay.
And then around the character, I build up, okay, what would be an interesting day like in this character's life?
That's
You
a
know,
lovely piece of advice for writing.
yeah. So I don't think there are a lot of people who do that, but
I
that
haven't heard a lot
works.
of people do that.
Yeah. So for sure, it doesn't work for novels. So I'm
Okay.
writing
Yeah, yeah.
one, and it
True.
doesn't really work for that. But for short stories, it works wonderfully because it's just a very, as I said, a slice of life in that character's entire, set of experiences. So, what would make an interesting day in JD's life is that he's not able to solve a case to his satisfaction, because that is something which is very, very important to him. So, I give him a piece where he's not able to solve it, and it makes for a story.
That's lovely. So, of course, there is a story that is set in the lockdown. So,
Yes, yes,
did you write this entire book during that,
yes,
during
I
the
did.
lockdown? Okay.
Yes.
So, how would you say the world shutting down affected your creative process?
So the world shutting down, I'd say it did not affect the creative process per se. The creative process is an ongoing thing,
Okay.
But what it did is, because we could not go out, we could not meet friends, you could not travel. So what it did is give a lot of time to think about the past experiences that I've had, and give life to them, And so that is what the lockdown actually did. A lot of time to think about what has happened, the characters that I've met, the interesting people, what their stories were in my mind, and what could have been. And then there was a urge to put it down on paper. And yeah, that's how it happened. That's how lockdown really affected it.
So, in a good way,
Yeah,
in a
absolutely,
very good way.
absolutely.
So, out of these 6, 7 stories that you have in this book, which
Yeah.
was your favorite to write?
Oh, that's a very tough one. um, so there are two that I loved writing. One is the last one, which is the station artist,
Okay.
because that felt so real to me. I have seen the girl on which I've based this story. Of course, her life has gone nothing like the story did,
Okay.
but I wish it had. So it holds uh, a very secluded, nice, cozy place in my heart for that story. And the other is The Perfect Alibi, which has JD as its main character.
Okay.
I love that story because I love the character JD. Um, I would want every policeman to be like him. Um, so
The
yeah,
world would be
that
a better place.
the world would be a much, much better place.
And so, what was your favorite part of writing this book?
The favorite part of writing this book, or any book for that matter, is writing itself. I love writing. It is something which gives me peace. It is a very joyful thing. It calms my mind. It's almost meditative
It
for me.
is.
So that process itself is the most wonderful thing, I'd say.
And what was the toughest part of writing?
That would be writing as well. because every time you write, you're always learning, you're always adapting. uh, Sometimes you have kind of thought of a story in a particular way, but the characters decide to take it in a different direction
True.
altogether. I don't know whether you've experienced this, but it's exhilarating and irritating at the same time
So
because
how do you deal with that? I'm sorry for cutting you out there, but how
yeah,
do
yeah.
you deal with that? Do you let the characters just live, or do you be like, no, just rein them in a little?
So I'll be frank with you. In the beginning, I tried to hold them to, hold the reins myself. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm the puppet master here.
Yeah.
You have to dance to my tunes. But I realized it just did not work out that way, because the characters would steer the story in the direction that they really wanted. And as I told you, the characters are so alive in my mind
Yeah.
that they pretty much have a complete life and mind of their own. And I realized that if I let them take the story where they want, the stories come out much better,
That's
than if I
lovely.
tried. Yeah, so it's a wonderful learning experience, and that is the tough part as well, to handle that.
It is. So could you give me a little bit of insight into the themes you were trying to reflect in the stories?
So there's no one theme which
Yeah.
spans across all the stories. So I did not want to kind of think of a particular theme and force fit my characters and story into that particular line
Okay.
of
Yeah.
thinking or that theme. So the themes range from, fantasy to romance to crime. The characters range from small children to old women who have been ostracized from society and who are extremely sad in their life to vivacious young people to very modern Indian independent women, to taxi drivers and rich people and poor people. So there's a whole range of people and characters and setting in the story. The only theme which binds them is that they're all interesting characters, and they're all based in India and reflect the Indian life in some way. The people are and so while the story might be exaggerated, might be a fantasy, but the characters in every story is probably somebody you have met. It could be, your neighbor, it could be somebody in your family. Some part of the characteristics are um, you will find in people that you meet every day. So the characters are very real.
That's lovely. Okay, so since we have been speaking about the Indian kind of life, like slices of
Yeah,
Indian life. So how
yeah.
important was it you to portray that authentically? Because I have seen some people represent or portray India in either very extreme ways or
Hmm.
incorrectly. So how important was that for you?
Um,
Or how did
so
you like try your best to portray it right?
so most of these are, as I said, from my experiences.
Hmm.
So I have lived most of my life in India. I know Indian people very well. Um, and I've lived in Delhi and village and small town. So those people are, those are people I meet every day. Um, and while again, for example, one of the story is a fantasy that there are no scientists who have discovered any invisibility cloak or something like that. But the people are very Indian, as I said. So the parents are people who worry about their children. It's a very very Indian thing. They will worry about you till the time they're alive. You might be old,
True.
you might be in your 50s, 60s. I don't know. If your parents are alive, they will worry about you. So children will, look up to their parents. Children will have certain values that they have. There are superstitions prevalent in our society, and there are women who are strong and independent today and do not think that just because you know somebody does not think that marriage or family is everything there is. You have your own life. You take your own decisions. So these are the type of people and things that I have tried to portray in my stories, and that's what it has
That's
been.
lovely. So, are you working on anything else at the moment?
I am actually I'm working on a novel, and it's a thriller, and the protagonist is a badass female, karate champion who doesn't believe in the typical looking pretty and wearing beautiful dresses type of a thing. She likes to get work done. She is strongly ethical and will not stand to bullying or anything. So yeah, she's a very strong female character.
That's lovely. So, this is my last question to you, Ranjana. Do you
Yes.
have any tips for aspiring authors?
I'd reiterate what Stephen King said. If you want to be a writer, there are two things that you must do above all: read a lot and write a lot. And that is a wonderful, wonderful piece of advice for everybody. I'd say if you want to write, you do have to read. So keep reading, keep writing.
That's lovely, Ranjana. It was lovely speaking to you. Thank you
A
so much.
pleasure.
Thank you so much for being on here with us and giving us your time. And
Thank you.
we are looking forward to reading your next work.
Absolutely.
and and for everyone watching back at home, Ranjana's book link, The Tale Next Door, will be in the description box below, along with all the book links and everything. So y'all can go ahead and buy it and check it out. And we're
Yep.
signing out. Bye,
Bye
Ranjana.
bye. Bye.